Okay, everyone, and welcome to the weekend edition of the Market Wrap Up with myself, Michael Nauss, over at Statsedgetrading. If you're new here, welcome. Every week we sit down, we take things a little slow, we start going through stocks, options, crypto, metals, try to get a whole overview or picture of what happened. I give a few of the stocks that my algorithms have picked out that I think look good. Eventually, those are going to be on my paid Substack, so make sure you sign up for that over at www.statsedgetrading.com. We have a perfectly free trading course there if you're looking to get used to or you want to learn the basics of technical analysis and all that. Nothing at all to charge you for that. Perfectly free. Just put in your email and away you go. So, without further ado, what a wild week. We'll get into it here and we won't talk. Oh, not that one. That one. And we won't talk about GameStop because a lot of people got hurt there. So I'm not going to rub salt in the wounds. But we need to start with Bitcoin. And we are going to start here with just looking at the weekly chart and then zoom in a little bit. So I've been talking about this kind of cup and handle style pattern that I've been seeing for a long time here in the weekly chart, looking to see if we could hold this resistance. The thing that when we got to this resistance, I was talking a lot about how I think that, this resistance up here is going to give us some problems and it's either going to sell off, right? Or it's going to kind of chop sideways. And that's what this sideways motion is what you want to see if you want to be bullish Bitcoin because it's digesting this overhead supply. So that again seems great to me. Uh, Kind of a little bit of a failure to launch, though. We have this topping tail here, and then we have this topping tail here as well. So it's had a little bit of a hard time. If we go into the daily chart, you can see I have alerts above here as well. Comes up, hits that resistance, fails, comes up again today, hits that resistance, fails. Again, struggling a lot at this particular resistance point. This is an anchored view app that I've drawn from all-time highs. That was acting as resistance or support here for a while. And then this anchored view app is from this major high right here. So far, when we broke that, we had a nice push. We came back down and tested it. See if we reverse and start to move higher on this one. But again, just really, really struggling. Even if we go down to an hour chart, we can see there was a big liquidation that happened right here. It was chopping along for a couple days. And then all of a sudden, I think I read somewhere someone liquidated like 600 million, 300 million, 600 million of crypto and just kind of completely fell out of bed. So that's unfortunate. I was full disclosure, I was long a little bit here and then I got stopped out as it broke this price right here. I'm going to watch it. If we start to kind of reclaim this area and looks like we're going to push again, I'll just buy back in, right? That's the beauty of trading is you take a small hit when someone liquidates millions and millions of dollars of crypto and you come back for more. So let me wear my notes here. Just got to make sure I'm going through everything. I've written my notes for you. Oh, Ether. I want to talk about Ether, that it is an underperformance still. You can see it got hit with that same liquidation break. However, if we go to the weekly chart, again, never really got near this high. More importantly, never got near this high right here. That's the important thing, I think, where we never retook this high. So that to me is just like, okay, well, if we can't retake this high right here, then really what is it that we're going to do? So pulling back, just like Bitcoin is, but Bitcoin's still green on the week. Now Ethereum's red on the week. So I went through all the other major cryptos and it's kind of the same story is Bitcoin's our leader. If Bitcoin's faltering, then everything's going to falter. So we just need to make sure that we're using Bitcoin as kind of our North Star, for lack of a better words, when it comes to this one as well, right? So not hourly, weekly. Let's get in and do some currency looks. We'll do Aussie CAD. And with Aussie CAD, we are talking a lot about this anchored view app right up in here and how we struggled at this one and we fell down here. We broke it a little bit, but it was ultimately resistance here and that it was resistance here as well. Full disclosure, I'll always say this, I am short a little bit of this Aussie CAD over in this area. Shift me over here, but over right in here, I took some on a shorter term time frame off that anchored view app. So I am short Aussie CAD. I may add if we start to break down here with an ultimate stop above this high right here. Again, simple trade. Just, I want to take what is this prior resistance and that anchored VWAP. I want to use that as my level. I want to see if we can at least come down to this area right here, which makes my risk reward very good. And that's all I'm looking for. So nice, good risk reward trades, regardless of whether they're Ethereum or Bitcoin or, in this case, US dollar or Aussie CAD. Another Aussie one that looks interesting is the Aussie yen with this bearish engulfing type candle right at this high. You can see I was looking at this breakout and then pullback and continuation here. Never end up getting any great trades on Aussie yen in the last little bit, but we need to always keep in mind the Bank of Japan has come out and said we are going to defend our currency. They came out a couple weeks ago and said we are, I think it was $60 billion or so. They caused these. If we go into, let's go into the 1 hour chart. They caused this and they caused this. That's the Bank of Japan you're fighting, and it gets really hard for me to be long this currency, knowing that the bank that controls it is against me. I don't want to. Just like I'm not going to buy GameStop as it's diluting shareholders. I'm not going to buy a bank when it or against a country when the bank says, "Hey, we're going to defend the currency." Uh, Euro pound, talked about this one as well. And short this one, full disclosure, just looking for a breakdown of this very clear resistance zone right in, or support zone right in here. Got that a little bit this week, just came a little shy of last week's candle. And just see if we can move it down here. Again, I like this currency because of how choppy and range bound it is. When I'm trading stocks, you'll notice I'm more trend trading and looking for pullbacks in overall trends. When it comes to currencies, I'm more revision to the mean. If I want to be short on a longer term time frame, I'm using a shorter term time frame, and I'm buying as the thing bounces. And that's just because it's just the nature of this particular currency. So if we go to, actually, let's do the Dixie before we do the US dollar denote currency. Nice bounce off this level right here. So we had this low, that high that became this low right here, broke it, came back down into it, and now we're bouncing. Overall, though, we are still in this major range right here where we have this top and this bottom, and we're just oscillating in this range. And this is why, if you look at this chart, you see why I'm not like a trend trader when it comes to currency trading. I'm looking for my spots. I'm taking a couple bucks and I'm moving on with my life. Just different instruments trade differently. Gold, however, XAU, USD. There we go. So we talked about this on the monthly show where I was worried about these two topping tails that were happening right here as this tweezer top pattern on the monthly candles. We zoom into the weekly candle, it looks like potential double top going on. You can see I have an alert here for a break under these lows to see if I get that for a continuation lower when it comes to looking at gold, just to see if we're going to get a pullback all the way to this breakout. I liquidated all of my long gold holdings, so now it's going to be look to see if we get a pullback. If I can nail the short, great. If not, I'm just going to watch this pullback and look for a place to re-engage the longs. Because if I go into my long-term time frame, you can see I'm really looking at this top and cup and handle style pattern. And I've been talking about this forever on this channel and other places. So I took the breakout there, had a couple months of great trades. I've been trading it all in this zone as well, but a couple months great trades there. And now I'm saying, okay, it's time to ring the register because this thing looks a little heavy. And then we'll go in and see if I can get a pullback or something else on that trade. Now, okay, let's get into trade ideas here. Sorry, I'm going to close some things, move some things around that I've been working on. I always have a lot of stuff open. Here we go. So I want to take a look at the S&P 500 first because another solid week, another great week in the markets. Pulled back a little bit, rallied to close higher. The trend remains intact, so we have to be hammering ourselves on the long side still until this trend ends. We have to kind of just say, okay, regardless if you think it's overdone or whatever, or only run by a couple stocks, doesn't matter. We have to be looking for that long side. Now, something Burke.B. Something that was great here, a great looking chart here on Burke B, is this potential bull flag going on and I use this as my look at if it's going to be growth stocks or if it's going to be value stocks that are doing well or outperforming. If Berkshire Hathaway breaks out, you better expect that it's going to be those value stocks as well. And then we look at ARK, which is the other side where they're just buying growth stocks. That one looks like it's really, really bad. If we go to XLV, another one I want to take a look at. So this is our healthcare sector. Great candle this week, opened right at the lows, closed at the highs, fighting this high right here on XLV. Again, looks absolutely phenomenal. But if we look at our metals, and the first place to look at is XME, eh, a lot of ugliness here on these metals. We were trying to buy in this area right here. Again, I'm out all of my metal positions on this candle because that just looks really, really gross. But it's kind of happening throughout. So we talked about gold, but I wanted to also bring up silver, SLX, which is or not silver, steel ETF, and that looks like it's sitting right on a potential breakdown point on silver, which may get us into this area, or not silver, steel will get us into this area. So it's not just precious metals; it looks like it's kind of metals in general that may be faltering. If we go COPX, COP, COPX, pullback here in copper, and that might be the thing that's kind of started this whole metal sell-off. They say, okay, copper had this insane run, it's pulling back, that's probably enough for coppers there. So into the algos, only one that's interesting from the weekly time frame is General Motors. Nice push up here. This is from the breakout algorithm that looks for you to buy and hold for a couple weeks, and a nice look there. We have Root from the anchored VWAP pullback algo. So again, that's just exactly what it's looking for. It's looking for stocks that are pulling back to an anchored VWAP from a very major level. A pull back in here, you can see a little bit of a gap between where it is and where we are, but it looks like a nice area to potentially look for along, knowing that our support or our stop loss will be out in this area. And if we bounce, that looks great. And one was Tiva. Tiva, we're anchoring from this massive volume spike. I talked about this one today in Trader TV for a different setup. So when I saw it come through the pullback algo, that made me very interested, where you can see this sideways chop after this massive earnings date, but also here's the anchored VWAP. It was support right here, and then it was also support right here. Now we're going to look at ZS, last but not least, Zscaler. And this one's a longer term one. This VWAP goes back a pretty long time here, and we're anchoring it from this major level right here, this low that exists right down here. And you can see that the chop, it bounced right here perfectly, had a massive move, came back in, holding that area now for weeks and weeks and weeks. So if this one turns and pushes higher, then I like the look of this, because I love these pullback algos because it takes a lot of the work away. Now I do have a course on teaching trading plan, and the trading plan I put together when I built that course had to do with this particular algo and setup, because it being above the anchored VWAP for this long does the work of saying, yes, this is an uptrend. It gives me an established area to say, okay, it's holding at that anchored VWAP. So I know exactly when to get in. I know exactly when I'm wrong. I am wrong if we break down and hold below this anchored VWAP. And that's, probably somewhere in this area. And I'm right. We could, get to here, we could get to here. But the important thing to note is that the risk, which is just this little area right here, is way smaller than the potential reward, which is up here or even higher. And that's, again, all I look for is I want to risk one to make 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then regardless of my win rate, everything works out in the long run. So guys, thank you very much for coming by. I appreciate very much everyone who hangs out and who likes and shares and retweets all these things. Make sure you're going over to statsedgetrading.com. You're signing up for the email list there. And until I talk to you guys next week, get away from the screens for a little bit. It was a wild week. Take a little break.